Hey, what's going on, Fantasy Flavor YouTube viewers and podcast listeners? My name is Dylan. Super excited to join you here with Sanat, and today we're going to be talking about some of our sell
I
highs in Dynasty Fantasy Football. So let's start off with you, man. Who's one of your sell highs?
yeah, I think people will be surprised with this sell high, but it's based only on price in which he's going on. And my first sell high is Nick Chubb. I have seen him go like I looked at fantasyfootballcalculator.com with the dynasty ADPs, and he was going ahead of. He was the I think fifth running back taken ahead of Kamara, Cook, and Mixon. And I'm not sure if that's accurate because if that website is accurate, but I have seen him go before Mixon many times. So I think that's accurate at least, but not before Camara. In anyways, I think that that price is just too much for me to pay with all the question marks that he comes with right now. The first one is the split with Hunt. So what happened last year was he was having like for the first 8 games, Hunt was suspended. So he had almost 20 PPR points per game in those 8 games. But as soon as Hunt came back, he had almost around 14 PPR points per game. And Hunt also had 14 PPR points per game during those 8 games in the end. So they had almost like, even you cannot call even split, but in terms of points they were pretty much even. And Chubb was getting most of the carries, whereas Hunt was getting most of the receptions. And they both are back again this year. The one difference is that the coaching staff has changed and they are not loyal to Chubb anymore. They will see who is the more talented running back, and they will give him a lot of carries or a lot of work. And one thing that was concerning with Chubb last year was the goal line carries. He was not able to convert the goal line carries into touchdowns. He had, I think, 15 carries for negative yards on the goal line. So at one point, I remember one of the game in which he had 4 straight runs on the goal line and could not convert. So who is to say that Hunt might take those carries from him? I think Hunt is a very talented guy. He has issues, character issues, but on the field, I think he's just electric. So that's why these are the concerns that I have, and I would rather sell Chubb and maybe get Mixon and something on top of it, or even Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Those new guys get a first rounder on top of them. So these are the things that could happen in trades. And without a pass catching a floor, I'm not very interested in such kind of running backs.
Yeah, I do think it's good that Stefanski is the new coach, and we saw how good Dalvin Cook was, and even Alexander Madison had work, but it wasn't promising. But Creme Hunt is way better than Alexander Madison. I know some people love Madison. I do think he's an all right running back, but listen, Kareem Hunt was in the conversation for Offensive Rookie of the Year before Kamara blew up. That was his award. He came second place
Yeah.
to it. So, Kareem Hunt's really, really good. So it's going to be a
And
split.
And if you have to comp someone to Dalvin Cook role, I mean, isn't Hunt the better comp? Like he catches the passes like Cook does, not Chubb. But I'm not saying that the
Yeah.
offense will be similar to Minnesota. I think Chubb will still get most of the carries. But I'm saying that Hunt might eat into his carries more than we expect.
Yeah, it should
And
be
that's
a
a red
full on
flag.
committee. Like if I was coaching the
Yeah,
Browns, like keep them both fresh. Like you want to make a playoff run for once. Having both those guys healthy could be really good in December, like we saw with the Derrick Henry. Just pound it with an improved O line. Just pound the ball.
exactly.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. Let's move on here to my first sell high, and it's another running back who I literally just brought up 2 seconds ago here. Seamless transition, Derrick Henry. Listen, okay, here's the thing about Derrick Henry. I'm seeing him going before players like some of the rookies like Jonathan Taylor, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I've even seen him go like ahead of Nick Chubb sometimes, which is that's crazy to me too. And it's crazy to me because his future isn't secure at all. This is a guy who got a ton of work in high school and college, and this is important because his body's wearing down. I believe he's 26, 27 years old, So he's and
And
even though he's such a big back, right? He's ripped. We've seen the pictures of him next to Mark Ingram. The thing about Derrick Henry is these bodies are going to break down eventually. And if I believe the Titans really wanted Derrick Henry badly, they would have re-signed him to a deal already. Because if you re-sign him to a deal already, it's like 1 year quicker of getting off of him. You know what I mean? Like they don't want to keep Derrick Henry around until he's like 30. No, you want to sell these running backs. You've seen how much they don't really matter. Derrick Henry, what he did is great. And he also doesn't catch passes, but Deion Lewis is gone, and they brought in Darrington Evans, and maybe you'll see more pass catching work. And I've seen that kind of be like, oh, maybe he's going to start catching passes this year, maybe screens. But listen, Derrick Henry, I just think the Titans' offense regresses, and if it's regressing, he's only kind of like a 1 year buy for me because I don't know where he's going. Could he go to a team? Like maybe like the Bill. I don't know, right? I don't know. I don't know where
yeah,
he's going. Do you know? No, exactly. That's why it's so risky because he's already older. Like I think he's like almost the same age as Le'Veon Bell and David Johnson, and we're talking about those guys being like old and washed up. I think he's 1 year younger. 1 year younger,
two
maybe a few
years,
months.
2 years,
I
2 years.
think
Yeah.
he's turning at 27 and they're both 28. I think Bell might be 27 turning 20. I don't know exactly, but they're close. They're
Mm-hmm.
close. You know what I mean? People treat him like he's
Mm-hmm.
like young, like Nick Chubb compared to like like Le'Veon Bell and obviously David Johnson. My point is, like, listen, they also lost Jack Conklin, which is a big deal too. They drafted this first round tackle who I thought was a guard from Georgia. So, do you want to pull up the ages there and see how close they are?
Yeah, Henry just turned 26 this year in
Mm,
January, so he'll be 27 next January. I think
yeah,
he's almost 1 year younger to Bell, one and a half,
yeah.
and I think more than to David Johnson.
And David Johnson's a little older there. Bell's definitely younger. So it's pretty close, though. That's my
Mhm.
point. You know what I mean? He's closer than people are thinking. And he's on the
Yeah.
franchise. Listen, if the Titans wanted him back, they would have re-signed him already. Because we've seen how bad these contracts have been. So they'd want to get on that earlier. That way they can, you know what I mean? Because like the
Hmm.
longer the contract goes on, the quicker you can like cut him or just it can be done. Derrick Henry, he could be a free agent after that. So listen, Derrick Henry, just to keep it simple, that offensive regression, unknown future, a little bit older. I think that's a recipe for a sell.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Okay, we made a mistake. He is 2 years younger to Bell and two and a half to David Johnson, almost. And so Henry, the problem is that the problem that you said is the regression is very true, because last year they were just scoring touchdowns. Every drive they were just scoring touchdowns, which is not going to happen again. And they paid Tannehill, so of course they would want him to shoulder some of the load even more than before. So yeah, everything looks like the historic run that he had last year might not happen again, and his value is just too high to, too good to be true.
Yeah, he catches like 15 passes a year. He got
Yeah,
18
yeah,
last season. There's no reception floor with this guy either. It's just
yeah.
touchdown
So if he
runs.
doesn't have a touchdown, that week is ruined.
Yeah, not only that, he always starts off the season low. Go buy him mid-season again when he blows up for like 500 yards versus Jacksonville like he does every year.
Yeah,
Like, be
and
smart,
that too,
guys.
he always blows up in the second half of the season
Yeah,
every
exactly.
time.
All right,
Anyway,
who's your other sell high? Pretty controversial here. Let's hear
yeah, this is even more controversial, I
it.
think.
We're just keep
So my
building it up.
yeah, people will be just mad at me. Some of them. My other sell high is Michael Thomas, and the reason is that his value is just crazy right now. It is as high as it can ever be, I think. And you know, again, the question that I think in my mind is, what is the difference between Michael Thomas and Davante Adams? Really, how much are they different? People might think, oh, Thomas is younger. He's not.
Yeah.
He and Davante Adams are the same age. Which in my mind, I also used to think that Michael Thomas is younger, but he's not. He came as an older prospect in NFL, and so him and Adams are the same age. Last year he had, two. And Adams did not play the full season, but in the games that he played, Thomas had two targets more per game than Adams. But if you go 1 year before, in 2018, Adams had two targets more than Thomas per game. So what changed? 1 year of production cannot change the value so much. And right now, if you look at the calculators, look at some of the trades, you can easily see that people will give Adams plus a late first for Thomas. I think that's just slam dunk. People are ready to do those kind of trades. And if you look at the QB situation, Breeze is old. This might be his last year. If they win Super Bowl, this is definitely his last year. And you can say Rogers is also old, but Rogers is still better than, I mean, much younger than Breeze is. And Rogers is there for 2 years. And even if he's gone, Rogers just loves Adam so much. Maybe he'll take him wherever he goes. So that's possible. And again, Green Bay this year, who else is the receiver there? So if you look at all of these things, I had to put Adams in here just to compare and show our viewers and listeners how much the difference between Thomas and Adams really is in terms of value and what the reality is. And I mean, I would sell Thomas and get Adams, Hopkins, or Godwin, DJ Moore, those kind, and a lot of capital on top. Easy.
Yeah, I like it. Listen, I do think Michael Thomas is maybe the safest wide receiver prospect we've seen in a while, just because of the fact he produced there with a backup quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater. The system's great. So, in my opinion, he's pretty safe because even with the quarterback kind of question marks, he showed he could produce with Teddy Bridgewater, who I think can start in the NFL, but isn't the best. So, I'm not worried about the quarterback situation, although it has to be a down. What's going to go down is the receptions. Dude caught like 150 balls. They did
Yeah,
bring in Emmanuel Sanders, who's not bad.
and Adams and Hopkins are produced with much worse quarterbacks than Bridgewater. So
Yeah. Mm.
yeah, those players are not any slouch either. It's
Yeah.
just the Thomas value is just crazy.
Because he had like this insane year where he was like 100
Yeah,
points higher than the next. So I think it's
yeah,
justified for him to be the number one. But if you
yeah,
can get like a late first and a slight downgrade, because it's going to regress back to the mean. So I
yeah,
100% agree.
yeah.
For my second sell high here, it has to be Devante Parker. I think this is one of the biggest sell highs of the offseason. Honestly, you have to sell high on this guy. He blew up once Preston Williams went down, and so did Mike Gesicki. Honestly, both of them were in kind of consideration here for me to sell high on, and that's just kind of concerning. It took Devante Parker for pretty much a depth chart without anybody to really produce, and honestly, it was nobody was there to begin with. Sanat, and think about it,
Yeah.
Preston Williams is an undrafted free agent for Christ's sakes. Okay, he isn't some like beast superstar. Now, could he end up being this next Brandon Marshall? Maybe like 1% chance, sure, maybe 5% chance. He had a pretty good year before he went down with the ACL, but I think his value went up because now he has Tua. But I don't think he's that good, and I feel bad because he was stuck with Gase all those years, and he is injury prone too, which is another factor too. He stayed healthy
Mhm.
for his first time in his career, and he did look good. Like Stephon Gilmore, he tore him up week 17 versus my Patriots, knocked us out of the first round bye. Remember that? I have nightmares
He
about
always
that.
tears up Gilmore. I don't know
Yeah,
how.
him and Corey Davis, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, D Hop gets held to like 20 yards, but like Corey Davis could tear him up for like
yeah.
200. It makes no sense.
He just can't play bad receivers.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Gilmore.
He probably thinks, oh, the smart thing for the receiver to do is this, so I'll do this and do the
Yeah,
other thing. Anyways, listen, I don't need to talk much about Parker because he's just such a screaming sell high. He was only good when there's no competition. Now there's more competition. And Tua won't sling it. Tua, I think, is the better quarterback and has that ceiling, but Tua's not going to sling it like Ryan Fitzpatrick will. And the defense has
yeah.
improved, and
Much improved.
the O line slightly improved, but I still think it's kind of bad, which isn't the best if you're like a deep threat like Parker. So overall, I think he was a 1 year hit wonder. Could he be the next Robert Woods though? It's definitely a possibility, but he's already a little older, 27. I'll sell for another player. Like,
Yeah, so I agree on most of what you said,
yeah,
but I still like Parker as a talent. Maybe
mm,
there we don't agree much, but the situation, as you said, last year and this year is like totally different. The volume last year was just crazy. They had no defense. Like they were playing from behind all the time. Fitzpatrick doesn't give a you know fuck about anything. He will
No
throw.
fucks given.
Yeah, no, he might be the biological dad of Winston. Who knows?
Shit,
And they are the same. Yeah, they are the same guys. you know, they will just throw around. They know that the team have given them like full freedom. Do whatever you want to do. We want to get the number one pick, so you can go ahead and throw to our players, to throw to the other team's players. Do whatever you want to. So that's not going to happen anymore. Miami is in. I think they have done a good job. They want to win now, so they will play the defense and run the balls stuff a lot, and that will limit the volume. And again, Preston Williams is coming back, and Williams is a good buy too. I think people have forgotten about him, and all the hype of Parker and
Mm.
Gesicki is going around, and no one remembers that when Williams was there, these guys were not producing.
Yeah, definitely. But with that being said, that's all the time for today's episode. Make sure to like on YouTube, comment as well. It helps the algorithm, helps us become more popular, put these out more. If you're on a podcast platform, feel free to leave a 5-star rating. It'd really help us out and make us more popular on there too. With that being said, we're signing off. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.